and my name is Yura, and we choose English country again. And English with today, so Bertie snow story, and we're gonna just start it for not a snow story, battle story. I mean record story, and we're gonna just start it for at the chapter 1. And the end of reading at chapter 2, okay? And one more time, so you're reading about it. Some Bertie potty story, chapter 2. And the end of reading at chapter 3, okay? And now, are you ready for these two book and two story and meet some lots of book characters? And now, here we go. And first, you can read some Bertie record story. Chapter 1. Mrs. Booth didn't often look pleased, but today she was smiling, or at last, not strolling. There was a reason for this. Last week's Sorrel House School had their picture in a paper again. Usually, this made Mrs. Booth green and evil. Dan was always wanting a rose or meeting some important person, but this time it had given her an idea. It was high time Bertie Jr. got their name in the paper, and she knew how. Can anyone tell me what it is? She said. A book, shouted Darren. Don't call out, please, Darren. What kind of book? Noel Nick showed up his hand. The bumper book of record, miss. I've got that book, cried Bertie. It's fantastic. Thank you, Bertie, said Mrs. Booth. And this is a special book all about setting records. A record is something that no one has done before. Like when Bertie locked Mr. Grunch in the shed? Asked Darren. No, not like that, sorrowed Mrs. Booth. A record is when you run faster or jump higher than anyone else. Now I've talked to Miss Sneaker, and we think our school should try to set a record. Oh, do you remember the story? Bertie locked Mr. Grunch in the shed, and Bertie was pretend to be a Mr. Grunch, and Mrs. Sneaker come to the Bertie's class and check Mr. Grunch. Do you remember this story? It's a very nice story. And faster or jumping higher than anyone else. Now I've talked to Mrs. Nika, and we think our school should try to set a record. And the class gasped. Bertie was so excited he almost fell off his chair. He had always wanted to set a world record, and he bet he could do it too. Imagine, his name was the Bumper Book of Records. The loudest burp of all time was recorded by a schoolboy, Bertie Burns, and Bertie's burp was so loud it cracked his teacher's glasses. And when he heard 100 miles away and managed it, and he would be famous, and he would be entered a bit in the radio and TV. People will pay millions of pounds just to hear a record burp. So we need ideas, said Mrs. Booth. And what kind of record should we try to set? Hands waved in the air, and Bertie was first to go up. Yes, Trevor, said Mrs. Booth. The highest bouncer on a trampoline, said Trevor. Mrs. Booth pulled her face. Too dangerous. The longest tap down, said Duna. I'm not sure we've got that long, said Mrs. Booth, and Bertie's arms stretched higher. Oh, miss, I know, miss. Yes, all right, Bertie, sighed Mrs. Booth. Burping, cried Bertie. What, burping? I can burp really loud, ask anyone. And Mrs. Booth rolled her eyes. You can't set a record for burping, she said. Why not? Would it be the longest burp ever? Asked Bertie. What a bit of the protects. I bet I can burp for a whole minute. All I need is a fizzy orange. No, Bertie, snapped Mrs. Boo. We're not doing anything to do with burping. How does anyone have a sensible inspiration? And Nisha raised her hand. We could add a penny per mint, she said, and Mrs. Boo answered. A penny per mint? Oh, was that possible? Nisha nodded. I've seen a picture. You need lots of pennies. And where would you get them? Collect them, said Nisha. And Mrs. Booth they figured her double chin. It might work, and it will be fit in the history will work in ancient Egypt. And very soon there is a bound to get their picture in the Persley Post. And it was so simple, it was brilliant. Nisha, I think that's a splendid idea. And believe Mrs. Booth, why not we start collecting pennies right away? Whoever collects the most will win the prize. And Bertie grinned loudly. A penny per mint? Yowzable, that was exciting about what? But if they had to make a pyramid, why not using their instinct like slugs? Or even the teachers should stack them on the top of each other with Miss Boot at the bottom. Mrs. Boot at the bottom and Mr. Sneaker at the top. Very good idea, Bertie, but it might be dangerous. When Mrs. Boot and another two boys teacher went so hard to do steady like that and just rest for a little bit. Then Mrs. Sneaker and another three teachers might be fall down. So it might be a little bit dangerous. And now chapter 2 and tomorrow we read for chapter 2 and the end of reading a chapter 3, okay? And now one more time to reading about it, some dirty birdie potty. Chapter 2. The coach swing out of the drive and two hats. And Bertie trotted over the rest of the class, eager to start exploring. He stared at a rough bottom of the hole was a crummy old house with a clock tower that a wonky weather blade and a roof of washed with a pigeon's poo. Is this it? Asked Bertie. Oh, when it's it might be very, very just not interesting, just boring kind of things. When Bertie looked at it, it's not it, because when he go inside, it might be have lots of fun things to do, but it's very, very, very good places. So Bertie and children can't touch. Isn't that Megan Affit? Said Mrs. Booth. This hole has been a hole for the Russell family sons at 17th century. But where's the moat? Asked Bertie. Doesn't it a moat? And there was a drawbridge. It was a front floor, but where are the knights who are going to do jesting? And Mrs. Booth gave a panicked look. And Rosebum's hole is not a castle, she snapped. It's a house. A house? Bertie couldn't believe it. He'd been looking forward to seeing a real castle, battling on the battlements and wrapping around her reports. What was the point of coming all this way to see a crumbly old house? He wanted to see a house he could have started at home. It's not a canal-showed castle, and grumbled Darren. It's falling to bits, moaned Eugene, quiet under Miss Boot. Now, it will be having a short tour of hole, and after we'll split into groups to do an exciting quiz. Follow me, class. And they struggled inside a hole. It was cold, stark smell of mothballs, and there are the puppy little angels painting on the ceiling. Oh, little angels on the ceiling, very, very, very cutie. Oh, look, baby angels. Oh, wait, it's a little bit cute, but everyone just look at, what is that? But real is very, very beautiful and cutie. Remember, wanted Mrs. Boot, no running, no noise, and you're not to touch anything. Oh, I'm right. Do not touch anything. No, I mean, everything in the house is very old and variable. And Bertie plunged his hands into the pockets. And it was the worst school trip ever. They'd had more fun last year in the Swede farm. At last, Trevor had to slip and fallen in. And the tour of the house went for ages, and twice it got to ask Bertie to not yawn so loudly. Afterwards, Miss Boo divided them into groups. Oh, Nick is very, very like this old house because it's very valuable and old. And Nick liked valuable, but not old, but it's very, very beautiful for Nick, I think. So Nick was writing something so beautifully. Oh, wait. There. And afterwards, Mrs. Boo divided them into groups, and Bertie's group was Darren and Eugene, which was good, and Sandra, which was not so good. I don't want to be with Bertie, shook Sandra. I want to go with Lucy. And Miss Boo took no notice, and she handed the worksheet to each group, and then Bertie trailing around the hall to answer a list of questions. And Bertie stared at the hall. 30 questions? It would take days to answer them all. He felt tired just looking at them. I don't have a pencil, he said. I told you to bring one, snapped Mrs. Boot, and Bertie scratched his pockets. I must have lost it. And then Sherry and Darren, Mrs. Boot glared at him. Work as a group to answer the questions, and Bertie, yes, miss, do not touch anything. You not even touch the door handles. And Bertie trailed after the Darren and Eugene and Sandra. Why can't I be the one to write the answers? And gurgled Sandra. It's my pencil, said Darren. Can I borrow it? No. Please? No. You're mean, ugly, and I hate you, said Dora. I want to be in Lucy's group. And Bertie looked under the Darren's shoulder. How many have we done so far? And Darren checked his sheet. None. And Nick breezed past him, and he brought his own pen and clipboard. And it was in a group with Trevor, Elias, and Mina. What's the matter? Stirred quietly Bertie, jeered Nick in a reedy voice. No, said Bertie. We've answered lots. How many? 3, lied Bertie. We've done 4, boasted Nick, and we've got them all right. And I bet the 3 lots. More right than you. And Bertie watched them hurry off in the search of the next answer, and he hated to be seen at anything by no old Nick, and he had forgotten the time Nick had taken a part he wanted to Christmas play. Oh, I love Christmas play. And if Nick's team got a top marks in the crease, he would boss about for weeks, and Bertie would show smarty pants show off. And we fought to beat them, he said. We can't let them win. How? Asked Darren. They've got all the brain boxes in their group. They haven't got me, said Darren. Said Bertie. Or me, said Eugene. Or me, said Dora. No, said Darren. Like I said, they've got all the brain boxes. How long have we got left? Asked Bertie, and Darren checked his watch. 20, 30, not that long. We've tried to speed up, said Bertie, and taking charge. If we whiz around, we can find all the answers before them and where to next. And there in chapter 3, the library. And at chapter 3, and tomorrow is 34, at this chapter 3 and Deanna reading this chapter, Deanna reading in chapter 4, okay? So that means we're reading some magic stories, okay? And we'll read magic stories and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, okay? And now thank you for listening. And these 2 books and 2 stories we'll see tomorrow with lots of characters, okay? Or I think we will see some new characters too, but when it's not, I don't know really real, but it might have some new characters, okay? And thank you for listening again. And please thumbs up my YouTube, and thank you for thumbs up my YouTube. And if you thumbs up at the first time, I will thumbs up with, you'll be my friends every time and every day, okay? And now, bye for now. Have a nice day every time and every day. And bye-bye. Really, and now bye. Have a nice day and see you tomorrow. Bye.